totally, Nelson. It is good, isn't it? You don't think I'm funny anymore, it's called. Now, dangers, decoys, lies, corruption, these are just a few of the themes which are going to be running through a new play which opens in Coleraine next week. Skyline is being put on by the Stab in the Dark Theatre Company. Great in the Dark Theatre Company. The thing which makes this production so different to many others is the fact that all the people involved in it, all the people behind it, are 18 years of age or younger. They have no professionals to guide them. They're doing the writing, the directing, the acting, all off their own bat. They're also building the sets and financing the performances. Tall order, doing all of that by themselves as well. With me in the studio are Chris McCullen, who's going to be directing Skyline next week, and Beth Eustace, who actually formed Stab in the Dark Theatre Company. Tell me, Beth, actually, good morning to both of you, by the way. Thanks for coming all the way up here to join us in the studio. You formed it by accident, you're telling me?
Yeah, a bit of an accident with that.
How? It's a rather extreme kind of an outcome.
Yeah, well, I've been involved in drama at the Riverside Theatre for quite a while, and a drama thing they've been doing had just come to an end, and so I was interested in maybe doing something else. So I went to talk to the then artistic director of the Riverside, Andrew Montgomery, because I had an idea for a play, and went for a wee meeting just to chat, not really to book anything. And one thing led to another, and she ended up penciling us in a date. So I then had to leave the theatre, write a script, gather a theatre company, and put on a show.
Do all of that. So, but it succeeded. It opened. Yeah. You performed to great reviews and all of that. Yeah,
it was very good.
So, from your point of view, Chris, I mean, you're kind of, in a sense, for Beth was the first one. You're directing, writing Skyline for next week. Tell us a wee bit about it, the story, the plot.
Well, it's set in 1961. It's in New York at a jazz club called the Skyline Club, obviously where the name of the play comes from. And of course we're called Stab in the Dark Theatre Company for a reason. We tend to do murder mysteries, and certainly the first one was, so we've continued that. And it's kind of a murder mystery. It's not so much a simple whodunit, but it's more of an intrigue, play about intrigue, and you have to work out who's on whose side. So hopefully our aim is to have the audience keep guessing who's who and what everyone's up to. And there's a cast of 8 of us, ranging from a performer to police officers to some shady characters to waiters, waitresses. So there's a good range of performances in there. So that's what we're hoping to do next week.
Tell us, you've both done it. Where do you start when you decide to write a play like this for an audience? Where do you start from?
Well, my first idea for Murder at the Theatre, which was the first play, basically came from, I wanted to do sort of interactive murder mystery. That was what the first one was, where the audience actually wrote down on a slip of paper who they thought did it, and then out of all the correct answers they sort of got, if you got it right and you're selected, you got a prize. And that was sort of the first basic concept. And then I'm very into Agatha Christie and all those sort of things. So you just sort of work out who you want your characters to be, and it sort of comes once you've got a basic plot line. You just sort of sit down at the computer and it sort of comes.
Well, that was for Skyline. I just had I had watched a couple of things set in that kind of casino-y club environment, and I've sort of fell in love with the environment. I thought it's a fantastic venue for any sort of drama. And with that in mind, and just a simple bunch of characters, if you can write the characters, I think first, if you can write strong characters that you like and you enjoy writing, the story just comes naturally.
Even ahead of the plot.
Even ahead of the plot. If you have the characters that you can get inside the head of, and you know what they're going to say, how they're going to act, it all just flows down naturally onto paper.
It kind of comes like they're doing all the stuff and you're just following around.
It is like that, yes. It's just like you're not even writing it, to be honest. It's like you're not writing it, they're writing it for you.
And as part of your job as a writer of a drama like this, is part of it trying to actually throw the person watching it off the scent until the last possible moment?
Well, it's fun that way. It is fun that way. There's nothing better than knowing you've duped an audience for an hour and a half, and there's a collective gasp as they come out. That's a brilliant feeling. And I haven't done it with my own script yet, and it'll be interesting to see if it works, it holds out for me. But I know for Beth's script, it absolutely did, and the audience were gasping on several occasions. It's a great feeling. It's a great feeling to have that. So,
well, it must be nerve-wracking to be sitting there, Beth. I mean, waiting for the audience's reaction to it. I mean, do you know whether it works or whether it bombs? I mean, it must be so nerve-wracking.
Well, to be honest, because it was such an amateur theatre company, we didn't really know what we were doing. Just before...
Has that changed?
Ish.
She was intolerable last time. The stress. So much stress. No, I feel sorry for her, I really do.
Well, just before the last time, we'd actually been doing a dress rehearsal right up until about 15 minutes before the performance. So there was no time to feel nervous or stressed or thinking what the audience were. It was just get out, say your lines, do it. and get through it, and then afterwards it hits you, oh my goodness, I've just done a play.
You just kind of take a deep breath and run through it and hope for the best. And I obviously haven't been through what Beth's been through with you.
But you will be very shortly.
I will be next week. Next Friday I wouldn't speak to me anyway. I'll be in some state.
Tell us, what about the cast? How have they performed? I mean, they are very, very young.
They're very, very young. They're a fantastically talented bunch of people, I have to say. They really are. Marcus, Becky, all of them. We actually have had some cast changes this time, and we brought in 2 new guys, David McLaughlin and Thomas Rajan, and they've done really well. They're a really, really strong bunch, and it's hard to bring new people in because you need to get the right balance in the group as a whole. But we've really hit it, and they're all learning their lines really well. They're all performing. They all show up. So I mean, when you think this is out of school, there's no commitment on them really, other than just being our friends, and they all have the decency to show up and act so professionally with regards to that. They do a fantastic job. I couldn't say anything negative towards anything.
I mean, apart from the money, I mean, in terms of commitment, all this is functioning like a professional theatre company, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
It really is.
Well, the money from this one, last year we got a deficit funding from Flowerfield and from the Arts Committee.
From the Arts Centre, yes.
Yeah, they really helped us. And then the profit, we made £300 profit overall from last year. We took over £1,000 a night, and after paying off all the debts, we made £200, which was put straight into this production.
So what if we have another production after this? It may go back in again, but we may give it somewhere. We don't know yet.
I like that. If we have, it's when we have.
When we have.
You'd actually be saying that, Chris. You know.
Think positive.
Absolutely. It's called Skyline. It's on the 28th of March.
Yes.
At Riverside Theatre in Coleraine, performed by Stab in the Dark Theatre Company, amateur, self-funded youth theatre group. Wish you all the best for the second one. Would you ever go on the road with these kinds of things? I mean,
you never know. You never say never.
If anyone listening who'd like to put us in a theatre,
Give it